Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 105 of Buds and Blue Jays. This is your place for all things related to the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Jesse Burrell, coming at you from a new location. Just moved into a new place here, so very excited about that. And I'm joined, as always, by my usual co-host, Riley McConnell. And Riley, the Blue Jays have done it. We've had two back-to-back series wins, both against teams that are first place in their division. Weak divisions, I know. But, hey, the Blue Jays did it, coming off that big losing streak to win back-to-back series. Riley, how are we feeling about the Toronto Blue Jays right now?
So that is exactly what we needed the Blue Jays to do. I know it's not a sweep. We lost a close ball game in game two. We were, bats on fire for most of the series, especially game one. We tallied 7 on them. And then I felt like we had a very successful third game of the series to clinch the series win. And a lot of that to do with our game 3 starter in Kevin Gausman. It was a really good series for us. I feel like anytime you give up 7 runs in 3 games, just over 2 runs a game, you're looking at a lot of things that went right for your ball club.
Yes, the Blue Jays pitching staff was back to doing their good things in this series. We'll get into all of that in this episode, including standout performances from Kevin Gausman and what is going on with Alek Manoah. Plus, we have some interesting things on the hitter side. But first, guys, please remember our show is free and we're available on all platforms. So please like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. And if you're on our rapidly growing podcast side, please 5-star review. Leave us a review on iTunes or anywhere else you can leave your reviews. Tell a friend, hey, sub around and find out. We got a lot of good stuff going over here on Buds and Blue Jays. But let's get into the game recaps, as you mentioned, Riley. For those of you who might not have been able to watch game 1 of this series, the Blue Jays scored 4 in the first inning after giving up 2 in the top of the first and ended up winning game 1 7-2. Yusei Kikuchi battled 5 walks in this one, but did strike out 4 over his 5 innings pitch, and the bullpen was even better behind him. Only Nate Pearson, Jimmy Garcia, Adam Simber, and Tim Meza combined for 1 walk, 1 hit, and 4 strikeouts between them all to seal down the deal in that door. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Alejandro Kirk both had 3 hits in the winning effort to get the Blue Jays the win there. Game 2 of the series, this is the game the Blue Jays lost. The Blue Jays lose this game 4-2. Alek Manoah had a mixed bag of start, but still ultimately 3 walks, 4 innings pitched, 1 home run allowed, and 2 strikeouts. The Blue Jays didn't muster much offensively, but were a 1 for 13 with runners in scoring position in this game. Matt Chapman had 2 hits in the losing effort here as well. And in game 3, the game that took place this afternoon, is a well-pitched ball game. The Blue Jays win this game 3-1. Kevin Gausman was at his best. He racked up 115 pitches and 11 strikeouts in this game. And the offense came early and often, with Bo Bichette hitting a solo home run in the top of the first, and Matt Chapman following 3 batters later with a 2-run home run of his own. So after the series, the Blue Jays stand with a record of 30 wins, 27 losses. We're 4th place in the AL East. We're 9.5 games back of Tampa Bay for that division lead, and we're 3 games back now, I think, with 3 teams to chase still in the second wild card. So we're only about 50 games in the season, still 100 plus games to go. But Riley, where do you want to talk about first after this series win against the Brewers?
So, got to be our game 3 starter. Let's talk some plus right now. I mean, we've had a lot of pretty shisty episodes talking about, bad pitching. Let's talk about a really good pitching performance. And that is one, Kevin Gausman, 6 2/3, and looked absolutely phenomenal, man. This is as hard as I've seen Gausman throw as a Toronto Blue Jay. Touched as high as 99, 11 strikeouts to show. And of course, that splitter really coming in handy low in the zone. Location was spot on for that pitch. He had his craft working for him, only giving up 7 base runners in the entire game, 5 hits and 2 walks. And I felt like, he could have gone farther in that game, but the ball game being as tight as it was, I feel like the decision to take him out was a good one. But needless to say, he gets a standing ovation, and well-deserved, because that was a hell of a performance by Kevin Gausman, and he continues to dominate. I believe now stands alone in the MLB for starts with over 100 pitches thrown. I believe he's 5th, and there are, I think, 4 or 5 qualified starters that have 4. So Gausman putting in the work in this 2023 campaign. And another great start, man. You can't say enough good things about Kevin Gausman, and he did it again in game 3.
Riley, I have one word for you about Kevin Gausman, and you might have heard it before, but that is ace. Kevin Gausman is our ace right now, Riley. This is exactly what your guy's supposed to do. You need a good series win. You need a dominant performance. You ride the back of your best starter, and that's what the Toronto Blue Jays did here. 115 pitches in this one. It was the most a pitcher in all of baseball has thrown this year. In fact, Kevin Gausman's done it twice now with his 115 pitches. You talked about the velocity, Riley. It's only moving up from here. 99, he threw, like you said, 99.3. That was up 1.8 miles per hour than his season average this year. And his splitter, Riley, was even faster, a whopping 2.8 miles per hour faster than he has thrown it this year. Gausman's always had the nasty stuff. And now if he is throwing that nasty stuff even harder, guys, it's just not fair. Kevin Gausman's Cy Young season is still officially on.
I mean, I wouldn't say he was untouchable, but he was the next tier down from being untouchable. I mean, he got a lot of poor timing. The hits were deserved against him. I mean, I'll be honest. I didn't think the Brewers had much offense cooking. They gave it all against him in this one, but Kevin Gausman just too good for a lot of lineups in the major leagues. I mean, he can make a lot of hitters look really silly, and he did it a few times in this one. And the control, the movement, and the velocity, all things that make a great pitcher a great pitcher. I mean, he was doing it all, Jesse.
You know what I like most about this Kevin Gausman start too is the fact that he went 7 innings. The Blue Jays were able to ride the rest of their bullpen with just Eric Swanson and Jordan Romano. So we have a good, fully rested bullpen going into the series against the New York Mets, which is something the Blue Jays are going to need to win more games going forward. Riley, I have another positive I wanted to talk about, and we're going to go from who might be the Blue Jays' best pitcher, who, might I say, might be the Toronto Blue Jays' second best pitcher in the staff. And we're going into the bullpen, Riley, and we're going with a fan favorite of mine, and that is Nasty Nate Pearson. We got a message in our Buds and Blue Jays group chat from Isaac Bass, who's been on this show, who literally in all caps just screamed, Nasty Nate. And if you were watching that game, you know just how good Nate Pearson was, Riley. I have his stats on the season here for what he's done in his 16 innings pitched currently with the Toronto Blue Jays. He's given up 11 hits, only 3 earned runs. He's wished a 169 ERA, 5 walks from Nate Pearson, by the way. I don't think we've talked about how good the command has been from Nate Pearson. 18 strikeouts. His only allowed 1 barrel in 40 batted balls this year. That's a 2.5 barrel percentage. Expected batting average against of 196 for Nate Pearson. And on top of that, his average fastball velocity, 97.8, which is literally the highest the Toronto Blue Jays, it's tied with Brandon League, I think, for the highest the Toronto Blue Jays have ever had in franchise history. Fastball zone rate is up 7%. The curveball zone rate is up 8%. He's not throwing uncompetitive pitches, Riley. I have nothing else to say about Nate Pearson. He is fantastic, and I'm hoping we see him in the setup man very soon here.
You just blew my mind there, pulling out Brandon League, Jesse.
Yes,
that's too good of but not even a comp, man. He was in a very bad 2000s relief pitcher crew with like guys like BJ Ryan and Jason Frazier. It feels like Nate Pearson is just standing alone in what he can do. I mean, that fastball is just terrifying, man. Triple digits it can touch, and that curveball too. In his 2-inning appearance, Jesse, when he threw that curveball and he got a batter swinging in one at bat and got a batter looking on another. I mean, it was just too good. I mean, when you have those 2 pitches from that arm slot, and Nate Pearson being a bigger guy, 6'6", I believe, or right around that mark. I mean, he's a ferocious guy. And those 16 innings he's compiled this season, I mean, he's done it, man. He's finally, we can say in a way, he is back, man. His pedigree is kind of worn out now in the age he is. I mean, still very youthy, can still put a lot of good things together for a good MLB career. And I think it definitely starts right here. I mean, to take the role of setup away from a guy like Eric Swanson, who's done phenomenal on the air. I mean, Nate Pearson's definitely going to have to keep it up. I believe that's a very stiff competition for who gets the ball in the 8th inning, though, because Nate Pearson, how he throws, there was hopes for him to be a starting pitcher that could go 7 innings. But if we have to suck it up right now and use him as a high leverage guy, I mean, I'm not complaining, especially with a guy who's not giving up hard contact. And the control, like you said, Jesse, 5 batters walked in 16 innings is incredible for a guy that throws as hard as him, really nailing that command, something that we saw Nate Pearson not have a good grip on, literally and figuratively, was his control. And so if he's figured that out, that he could be very dangerous for this Blue Jays bullpen.
Riley, Nate Pearson has thrown over 100 breaking balls, and he has yet to give up a hit on any of his breaking balls. The fastball is Nate Pearson's best pitch, for goodness sake, and now his secondary has been this awesome. I think the sky's the limit, man. And God forbid something to happen to Jordan Romano, which, knock on wood, I really hope doesn't. I think Nate Pearson has nasty reliever and is exactly the type of man you want in your bullpen when you get into postseason games late into the thing. So I'm pumped for Nate Pearson. I'm riding the Nate Pearson high. I've always been pumped on Nate Pearson. If you're a longtime listener of the show, you know that. But Riley, give me another positive that came out of this series that you want to talk about here.
I mean, I guess we'll just go to a hitter now. And I guess we could say, quietly, Matt Chapman is kind of back on the board a little bit. Yes. I mean, hey, he's probably up there with Ken Griffey Jr. as one of my favorite players of all time, as we know, again, if you're a longtime listener. But Matt Chapman kind of, it seemed, wasn't there for a while. He had a home run and a double in the series and compiled, a good amount of hits, drove in a few runs. I mean, played some pretty good defense as well behind him. It was a very Matt Chapman-esque series, to say the least, for him. And I mean, I know you have stat splits. I'm dying to hear them because we know how hot he started off the year. Yeah. He's still an extra base hit machine, but he really, really leveled out the last month, man. He really leveled out.
So the Blue Jays really need Matt Chapman to be a core contributor of this lineup. We saw early in the year when Matt Chapman was raking, the Blue Jays were winning. We saw the last few weeks when Matt Chapman wasn't hitting, the Blue Jays were losing games. So I don't think it's an accident that when Matt Chapman is going, the Blue Jays are also going. In this series, Riley, 4 for 11, a home run, 2 doubles in the series. Here's his stats month by month. He had a 1.152 OPS in March and April, which is the 6th best in Blue Jays history, with over 100 plate appearances. Matt Chapman in May had a 585 OPS, which was the 12th worst in Blue Jays history among players with 100 plate appearances. So the big rise in production basis that we knew he was going to level off, but that seems even too low. I feel like Matt Chapman is coming back, and obviously the fair ground is going to be somewhere in the middle there for Matt Chapman, but it is nice to see him starting the month of June here with a couple hits, and it seems like he's well on his way to being a productive hitter once again.
Yep. Like you said, I think, well, I lied to you. That was actually game 3. He is a 333 hitter in this month, not a 500 hitter, but a 500 on base percentage because he did draw a walk today. Correct, yep. A good start to the month of June. Let's hope it's somewhere in the middle. I would personally like to see an OPS around 850. I think that would be a great mark for Matt Chapman to hit, and it's definitely in the region of achievable.
Sounds good to me, Riley. There were a lot of positives. I'm excited to see Matt Chapman heat up a little bit as the summer goes on, kind of like he did last year for the Toronto Blue Jays. But Riley, there's a big storyline in Toronto Blue Jays right now, and we've kind of maybe buried the lead a little bit waiting for this long to talk about it. But we have to talk about Alek Manoah, as we do every time Alek Manoah makes a start. Here's his official line here. I believe he went 4 innings pitch. I know he threw 90 pitches in this game, and 3 hits allowed, one home run given up, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts, a FIP of over 7 in this one. And Alek Manoah, you saw it. If you watched this game, you really saw how defeated he looked. Like, this was the first time. Alek Manoah's had several bad starts, but this was the first time there were glimpses of him shown in the dugout where he just looked lost, man. He looked like a guy who doesn't have his swagger anymore. He doesn't seem like he was the same guy. In the post-game interviews, after he even said, like, I've got the mindset right now of don't throw a ball here, instead of go out and throw a strike here. And pitching, like everything else in baseball, is such a mental game. Like, you need to be sure of yourself that you are going to be dominating and you are going to go. And when you're just afraid when you're on the mound, which is almost what it sounds like Alek Manoah is right now, you're not going to have the results that you need, Riley. So I guess, how concerned are we going forward? Is this something Alek Manoah is going to be able to turn around going forward, or what?
I think every Sports Center, TSN, every Canadian sportscaster has talked at some point about the struggles of Alek Manoah. And no one can really figure where it's really stemming from, man. And before I say like anything towards his stats, I want to talk about, the character clause in baseball and the effects that certain personalities have in baseball. It's 162 games. You're in close, tight with your guys all the time. And is Alek Manoah really right now the best guy in the locker room? I highly doubt that. And he's an important guy to keep happy. And I mean, yeah, he has the hype, he has the swagger and all that, but his mojo is lost in a sense right now. I mean, he looks tremendously lost. He looked tremendously frustrated. He pled his case to John Schneider to stay in that ball game. I believe John Schneider made the correct call in hauling him out of
I
that
think
ball
so
game
too.
when he did. I mean, that's hard after 4 innings, and I mean, really only 2 earned runs. It's still the right call. I mean, you would have loved to see him go out and throw 5 innings, but what's he going to do in that inning when the order comes up for a third time? I mean, are we going to see a huge 6-run blowout in that inning and his stats look absolutely worse than what they kind of already are? And small sample size. I mean, his ERA is high on the year. It's not like he lowered it a ton. I mean, a 4.5 earned run average over 4 innings isn't going to lower anything. It's a very minuscule move. And then you look at, again, another start where, I mean, in this one, he walked more than he struck out. I mean, I know Alek Manoah is looking at the stats. He's that kind of ball player. And I mean, it's got to get to your head. His psyche is not good right now. And I don't think it's affecting the rest of the locker room. I don't want it to ever be an issue. There's a saying that, your shortstop, your third baseman, they're not selfish players. A lot of pitchers, they say, are selfish. I hope Manoah isn't that guy to bring other people down, but he's really got to figure it out, man, because it has not been good for him. And this was another start that you just can't write home about. Not a quality start, not 5 innings, 90 pitches at that mark is not good. And of course, the 3 walks and the home run to Abraham. Yeah, and first inning, second inning, and third inning, all starting with a walk, and then the home run to Abraham Toro, the 2-run shot. Not a good way to spend your Saturday, really, Jesse.
Yeah, I had a lot of buddies actually at that game too, and so it's unfortunate that that's the game of the series they got to go see. But if you're a Blue Jays fan here and you're looking for something from Alek Manoah to turn it around, like, look, we know how good Alek Manoah can be when he is on, right? Like, we saw it just last year, third in Cy Young Award voting. Like, that guy is still in there somewhere. So you can't just give up on Alek Manoah because we know there's a chance you can find something click. Pitching's weird, right? There's a lot of stuff going on. Something could just click just like that out of nowhere. And when it does, you have a dominant starting pitcher again. It's just the question is, how long do we wait, or how much do you tinker until you can figure that out, right? Like, if Pete Walker has tried all this different stuff to fix Alek Manoah and nothing's worked yet, maybe do you get another pair of eyes in there, or do you do something to try to figure it out? I will say, Riley, I dug through the stats. I tried to find something to see if we could find maybe a sign of things to come for Alek Manoah. And I think the biggest thing with him is just the slider looked terrible and he wasn't throwing strikes consistently. If there's anything positive to take away from Alek Manoah's start in this series, is that he only allowed 4 barrels in this start, a 30.8% hard hit percentage. Both were the lowest of the season. So when guys were making contact against him, we saw more of the soft contact guy that we saw last year. He threw a first pitch strike today or this series to 72% of batters, which was also the highest he's had in the season. There is still a long way to go to get Alek Manoah right again, but I do think there was a small glimmer of hope that something might have clicked going forward.
That glimmer of hope really needs to turn into a shower of promises for us, really. I mean, because listen, you ask me every 3 starts here, what is our number 1 to 10? How do you think of Manoah? Whatever. I don't have a number at this point. I mean, you just have to watch him. We know that he's going to get the ball every 5th or 6th day. He's going to do his thing, regardless if that's 7 innings, regardless if that's 4 innings, like it was not Saturday, Wednesday, Riley. It's just not.
Yeah, he's going to get his chance in the Toronto rotation to figure it out no matter what happens here. It is Alek Manoah at the big league level. Like, there's nobody in Buffalo who's going to replace him right now. Riley, I want to talk about, I guess we can talk about Kikuchi while we're on the subject of pitching here. And his line was interesting. You could say that. 5 innings pitched, 3 hits allowed, 1 home run allowed, 2 earned runs, 5 walks, 4 strikeouts, though. The 5 walks were bad for Kikuchi. This is, I guess you could say he was effectively wild because he only did give up the 3 hits and the 2 runs allowed, but the 5 walks are not what you want to see. It's still some hard contact against him. It's that turn in the rotation, Riley, right now between Yusei Kikuchi and Alek Manoah, where things kind of seem dicey for the Toronto Blue Jays, but we managed to get through it in this series. Do you have a thought on Kikuchi's performance here, or is just this is what Kikuchi's going to be now?
I do think in a way it's what Kikuchi's going to be. I do think we kind of lost a bit of control in that start for him. I think that we've seen starts where he doesn't walk as many batters, and then we see him another start in the series where we see 5 base on balls and 4 strikeouts, as in Manoah had the kind of the same ratio go on. So those aren't good things to see. Obviously, you never want to see your starting pitcher walk 5 guys in as many innings. But I do think that he will have a string of starts where he won't walk 5 guys in the amount of innings. I mean, we know that there's going to be issues of control from time to time with Yusei Kikuchi. That's just one of the sacrifices, that he's a non-elite left-handed hard thrower with great movement on his pitches, some really good velocity. And if one thing lacks, it is control. And I mean, that's why he's not a 25 to $28 million a year pitcher. That's what he makes. He makes, good money as a 5th starter. We definitely need him, but we need him to be on and hopefully harness a little bit better control. I don't expect the world from Yusei Kikuchi. Let's be honest. But I do think that there's more in his game. I didn't think he had a terrible start, but of course he just really lacked control.
Fastball was up about 0.5 mile per hour. The curveball was up over 1.2 miles per hour. So there is something there maybe. The stuff is still really good for Kikuchi, but it's always been about location and always has been with him. He's now allowed 15 home runs this season, second most in the majors, but he did get his 500th career strikeout. So congratulations to you, Yusei Kikuchi. Riley, we do have to talk a little about the Anthony Bass drama here, and I will set the scene for you a little bit. On his Instagram socials, he shared something about, it was very anti-hate and against the LGBT community and all that stuff. And Anthony Bass, I don't think this surprises anybody. I think if there you had to pick one Toronto Blue Jay on the roster who would say something like this, it would be Anthony Bass. He's addressed the media after he refused to take any comments, but he did say, he apologized to his teammates. He wants to be a better person. John Schneider even made some comments after this about this doesn't just end here. This isn't just a statement. And then Anthony Bass is going to move on. There's going to be more work to making sure everyone feels included and all this stuff. Riley, do you have a take on the Anthony Bass situation here that was going on?
I want to say first off that as a manager, for John Schneider to handle the interview like he did, he's, because of course the manager's going to get asked and there's going to be follow-up questions. I thought he addressed it well. I mean, in a way, you got to single a player out, but he didn't make it just kind of about Anthony Bass. He made it about just the inclusion of everybody, and either Anthony Bass or everybody has to grow. I mean, he didn't crap on him too bad, which whatever. He bashed the LGBTQ community. And I mean, there's going to be repercussions from that, especially, it being June, and we support that month as Blue Jays fans and here on the show, and, just in MLB in general. So I think that it's just in poor taste that Anthony Bass did that. And whether he learns from it or not, Jesse, I mean, listen, man, he's a 33, 34-year-old, 35-year-old man, whatever his age is, he's up there. Is he really going to change, or is he just saying that? I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's whatever, you carry on from it, man. Honestly, it's so easy just to keep your damn mouth shut and not type something or post something online that's easily going to get scrutinized and ripped apart. I don't know what you're thinking there, man. Even if you have those thoughts, keep them to yourself. Like you're just asking for drama. There was that whole popcorn on the airplane thing, like just like earlier in the year, which is stupid. This is a lot more alarming. This is going to turn a lot more heads, and he just needs to be smarter. And yeah, John Schneider says he'll grow from it. We'll all grow from it. Well, you know what? Like if you're educating other people, that's fine and dandy. But at the end of the day, who is Anthony Bass as a person? I do not know. And there are certain people that don't share with his remarks. And at the end of the day, it's in poor taste, Jesse.
A few things to take away from this from the guy that's on the field too. The Blue Jays have shown a history in the past too of just fully letting go of guys who have been like bad characters. Like when the Roberto Osuna stuff came out, the Blue Jays just shipped him off right away. Now, the Blue Jays haven't done that, at least yet, with Anthony Bass, and I don't think they will either. And if you look at the numbers on the field, hey, 9 2/3 innings pitch over his last 10 games, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 12 strikeouts. He did post a 1.75 ERA in 28 games of the Blue Jays last year. He's still a good pitcher, even if he hasn't been that good of a pitcher this year. But the only issue is if the guys in the clubhouse start to turn away from him and stuff, or they start to look at him. Now, look, you don't get to pick your coworkers. Every single place of work has guys like this who, you know, you might not like, you might not agree with their viewpoints with and all that stuff. But if he becomes like a toxic item in the clubhouse, then maybe that is an issue and you would have to do something about it. But I don't think Anthony Bass is going anywhere. And I will say, Riley, I didn't love how the fans booed him. I get it. I get why he got booed when he came out to the things, but I still want my Blue Jays to win, man. I'm a team guy, you know. I understand the booing. I just don't love the idea of booing your own player. So got to take on that.
One set of boos, Jesse, is fine.
Yes,
leave
agreed.
it at that. We've, as fans, Jesse, we've got our point across. Don't boo him again. If he goes out and bashes the Jays fans again, are you going to boo? Like it's a whole line of stuff. Now we've go into the chain reaction of certain things, you know, just swallow your pride, Anthony Bass. Just eat it. Come out from the bullpen, put together quality appearances, and keep your mouth shut for the rest of the year so you can get a new job after your contract expires, whether we pick him up again or he goes somewhere else. He's a relief pitcher over the age of 33. I mean, there's a good chance he could end up on 3 or 4 different teams before his career's done. So probably best to keep your mouth shut and not let's worry about baseball. Baseball is number one right now.
Yeah. Be better, Anthony Bass.
Be better, Anthony Bass. Just keep your mouth shut, smile and wave, throw the damn ball over the plate.
Amen to that, my guy. Amen to that. All right, just a few more notes before we move on towards the end of the episode here. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hasn't hit a home run off an actual pitcher since May the 4th. He did hit that grand slam off of the relief pitcher, but I am kind of curious about this. He actually injured his knee on May 16th. Remember, he left that game a little while ago. Before then, Riley, he was hitting 307 with a 151 WRC plus. Since that time, he's hitting 182 with a 29 WRC plus for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I'm wondering if there is some type of underlying issue for Vladdy. Let's keep an eye on that going forward. And 2 more notes here. Kevin Biggio is quietly hitting 389, 476, 667 over the last 2 weeks. He had a couple of home runs in the last series here and has been starting more recently for Kevin Biggio, so maybe he's turning around. And Kevin Kiermaier, Riley, I don't know if you know about this about him, but he is a wizard in the field. He made a catch in game 3 today with a 15% catch probability. Riley, he ran 92 feet in 4.7 seconds. I don't know how long it would take you and I to run 92 feet, but I bet you we couldn't do it in 4.7 seconds. So those 3 things, Biggio, Vlad, Kiermaier, Riley, do you have a quick thought on any of those?
Well, first of all, Jesse, you forget that one of us at one point was an elite outfielder. Then before 50 pounds ago, one of us could run quite fast and was a savvy defender. I love Kiermaier in center field. Damn, is he ever good? I mean, you got to give the guy so much respect. He's had such a great career, even with the Rays. Well, of course, the Rays, you know, and all those gold gloves that he won, I mean, over Kevin Pillar and how salty we were at the time. But now you think about it, it's like, damn, like, he's good. Like, if he's doing this at this age, like, How was he when he was 27, 28, 29 in the outfield? Well, we've got tastes of that. And I mean, he's done one heck of a job this year. The other big thing, Jesse, is yes, before the show, you said, hey, Matt Chapman has quietly done this. And you talk about a guy who's quietly done some things right at the plate. That's Kevin Biggio.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've taken note to this, and he's hit the ball fairly hard, man, in his at bats. It almost looks like a completely different version of Kevin Biggio, and I really, really, really like it. He's got good. His eye seems to be coming back in the way that he's not swinging at bad pitches. The walks, the discipline, whatever you want to call it, the elite pitch selection isn't as good as what it once was thought to be, but he's still making good decisions at the plate and swinging at the right pitch and driving the ball, man. I mean, he's not a power hitter. He's a great pull hitter, though. So if he can find gaps, he could be very dangerous for the gap power and driving in base hits, especially now that the shift is gone. I mean, Biggio, if he could really put it together, could be a great singles guy to the right side of the field. And he's done well in that stretch. It's always nice to see. I don't hate Biggio. I'm not on the train of hate Biggio. He's the son of a Hall of Fame 3,000 hits guy. I mean, he's kind of on the outside in a lot of ways. It's a put up or shut up for Kevin Biggio, and he's kind of putting up right now. So,
It was needed.
I mean, I'm digging it, man. I'm digging it. It's the plot thickens for who's on second in a way.
Hits in 6 of his last 7 games with an average exit velocity of 85 or better in 5 of those 6 games for Kevin Biggio. If you can keep doing that, you'll be a solid piece on the bench and make chance of your opportunity when you can get it. Riley, I'm just going to read through our injury notes. If anything of these catch your attention, stop me, but we've got to get through these before the end of the episode here. Mitch White started his rehab assignment again, and shield your eyes for this one, Riley. 1 1/3 innings pitch. He only got 4 outs, 4 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts on his 40 pitches. 5 of his 6 batted ball events came off the bat 97 miles per hour or better, and that's against minor league hitters, Riley, for Mitch White. So garbage for Mitch White there. Blue Jays number 22 prospect Hagen Danner made his AAA debut today. He went 1 1/3 innings pitch. He did give up a solo home run, but did strike out 2. Ricky Tiedemann, Blue Jays prospect, is quote unquote doing well for the team official. He hasn't pitched in a game since May 4th. He's likely to begin a throwing program this week. And then I have some Orelvis Martinez, to finish the prospect stuff. We talked about him quite frequently on our last episode. He had 3 more hits today, including his 15th home run, 15, Riley, of 2023. He also earned his 22nd walk. I think he might have found something, Orelvis Martinez, so we can do that a bit there. But in terms of injuries, let me get through these here quick too. Chad Green and Hyun-Jin Ryu are both throwing bullpen stuff. Chad Green is actually throwing live bullpen sessions, and Hyun-Jin Ryu isn't too far behind that. Both are 11 months post their Tommy John surgery, so we could see both pitchers soon within the next month. Brandon Belt has been dealing with a stomach bug. Go figure. Another Toronto Blue Jay player is sick after dealing with a big one. Santiago Espinal began his rehab assignment with Single A Dunedin. He went 3 for 3, playing 7 innings at second base. And Danny Jansen will not travel with the Blue Jays to New York. He'll stay behind to continue his running progression. John Schneider told reporters that he's been hitting in the cages and throwing with no issues. Did some light jogging. Still no timetable for a return for Danny Jansen, but all that seems good. Riley, a lot of injury updates, a lot of prospect stuff. Give me 1 or 2 that stand out to you.
I'll give you the standouts because we haven't talked about them in a while, because a lot of people forget that we still have Hyun-Jin Ryu on this roster. Mm-hmm. Now, how we use this guy when he comes back is beyond me. Take Mitch. I'll put the Mitch White thing and take Mitch White right out of the equation from there. Let's wait and see where Hyun-Jin Ryu is, and of course Chad Green, who is an elite thrower with the New York Yankees, not too far removed from some very good seasons. They'll be with the club soon enough, and we need some more pitching depth, and they will really help us out there. The other one, Orelvis Martinez, really changing his game. That's a really unique kind of player right there.
I'm excited for him. I really am.
A middle infielder with a good power bat, kind of your 3 outcome player, because I know he's not holding a great batting average, but on elite power along the board. Also, good to hear Ricky Tiedemann is recovering well. He's got a long way to go in his baseball journey. So you get these small hiccups early on. You want to recover and, fully recover, and then get back on the ball diamond and pick up right where you left off, man. So that's what I got for you on those takeaways.
Perfect. I would love to preview the Mets series, but we've talked a lot in this episode. So let's just say the Blue Jays going to New York to play the Mets. Let's continue the good things going here. Let's win 2 out of 3 in that series against New York Mets. That'll do it for our episode here today. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it from my new background. I am going to get my Blue Jays jerseys and all that stuff hung up on the wall behind me at some point. Just haven't been able to do it yet. And Riley, I don't know about you, but another great episode from us and another great series for the Toronto Blue Jays. Let's hope we see more of that going forward. Anything you want to add before we call it an episode here today?
Nope. Let's go beat the New York Mets. Let's take 2 out of 3 at least, and let's continue winning ball games.
I'm with you. We'll see you after the series, guys. Until then, let's go Blue Jays.
Thanks, guys.